Okay? So lymphatic flow is life flow. And we'll just do this. We're going to lift this foot. Most of the weight's going on this leg, and then we switch. Most of the weight on this leg, we lift this heel. So it's called the Zen swing. Very, very important. We're moving every joint in the body right now. And we're helping lymphatic flow. So there are areas in the body where the flow of the lymphatic system can get compromised, congested. And there's a lot of lymph nodes in these areas, and if these start to get congested, they back up in the house, much like the toilet in your house. If it gets plugged and you keep using it, it's going to back up in the house, and it's going to start to stink, and it's going to start to cause damage in the house. Well, that's what's going on with our lymph nodes. They're like little septic tanks or toilets, and they alkalize the acidity as they go through when they go into the kidneys, so that, and into the stool, so that it comes out about a 6 or a 6.5 pH. And this is important because you couldn't pee it out or poop it out without it burning you if it was like a 3 or a 3.5 or a 4. It's too hot, it's too acidic, and it's going to burn you as it leaves your body. So these areas, there are 12. You just need to learn 6 because they're mirror image on each side. And what we're going to do is we're going to tap right here above and below the collarbone, okay? And we're just going to rub. Underneath is a muscle that runs up here, and if that gets tight, it can close this gate. The gate, or the area that can get congested, and all lymph has to travel to this spot, okay? It can close that off, but it's above the collarbone where this area is that can get congested and things start to back up here. And we're going to go over some things that will help you understand how important this is. Okay, above and below, we can rub, we can tap. Okay, now, right behind the earlobe, that's the largest lymph node in the neck. What's interesting about that, and we never do both sides at the same time, the blood to this side of the brain runs up over the top of that lymph node. The blood returning goes over the face of that lymph node. Your vagus nerve, which is rest, digest, and heal, goes over the face of that lymph node. And what happens is, if that lymph node starts to swell, it starts to shut down the supply of blood, fresh blood needed in the brain, and what's staying up there is the acidic blood that needs to be returned. So we need to make sure that this lymph node is not swollen. And if it interrupts the vagus nerve, it can turn on the sympathetic, which is fight or flight. Okay, and this is controlled through our breath as well. So that's why it's so important to do our breath work. So what we're going to do is that little hole right there in the back, that little indentation just above the jaw, we're just going to pull down on that. You can slap it if you want, but not a good idea, because if you get a little air thing in there into your ear, it's going to hurt. So it's best we just pull down like this, and then we go down the neck here. Okay, this drains this side of the head. And then we go to the other side. Never do both at the same time. Okay, right behind the earlobe, just above the jaw, is a little indentation. That's the largest lymph node in the neck. We just pull down on it. We usually use 9 times. 9's the only infinite number. Then we go down the side of the neck. I'm not a big one for counting what we're doing, because it helps set our limitation. If we know that we can do 10 push-ups, but we start to lose our strength around 8, well, as you're counting, you will create that, because that's your pattern. And then all of a sudden you'll be able to do 10 before you start to get tired, okay? But you're working your way up. If you're not paying attention to what you're doing, you can do things for a lot longer than you normally would. All right. So the third area, and up here, okay, brain fog, forgetfulness, dementia, Alzheimer's. The more acid that stays up here, the more it raises havoc with what's going on between the brain and the skull and the brain itself. The third area, we start where the shoulder rolls into the chest plate. Just tap that and rub it. And underneath the armpit, there are tons of lymph nodes here. If this gets congested, if it's swollen, it's tight, it's sore, then you really need to work this area. And I like to push out across between the ribs. This helps break up scar tissue or anything, because this backs up in the house. It's acids, breast cancer, lung cancer, heart issues, bone cancer. These can all come from these areas where it's just being congested. And it's because we don't have good hydration. You know, we're drinking, some people are drinking like energy drinks, 3 or 4 a day. Well, that's confusing to the body, and it will cause fatigue over time. Okay, let's get that lower rib too. I didn't do it on this side. Lower rib doesn't get much love. But we want to make sure that we keep this whole area clean. The fourth area starts under the solar plexus. There's a valve right here that we want to make sure stays open, and it goes right down around the belly button. There are thousands of nerves and little veins down here, because this was our first mouth. This is where everything came in. Well, it's all still there, and we need to keep this area strong. And right below it is your lower dantian, your energy center. And when we move, we try to move from this area, from this grounded center. This is where all energy is stored. And as we learn to move from this spot, the lymph and the blood will move, and the body will move, and we'll have more power, more energy, more vitality as we learn to use this spot right here. Okay, so we want to keep the lymph in these areas moving. So what we're going to do is we'll put our hands on our ribs. We're going to breathe in. We want to see your hands, or feel your hands, move apart without sliding them. Okay, this is your ribs opening. The lungs do not breathe, but they are 60%. Some even say 70% of your detox, because you're constantly getting rid of toxins every time you exhale. All right, that's why it's important to exhale longer than you inhale. So let's do an inhale through the nose. Feel those ribs open up. It's the muscles that open the lungs and make room for them to expand. And as we do a belly breath, the diaphragm drops and makes more room at the bottom, because that's where most of your blood oxygen transfer takes place. And everybody says raise your energy. Well, you raise your energy when blood can get into tissue that was having a hard time to get to. And that's what all this compression, decompression is about. You're expanding and contracting. Okay, when you exhale, you contract, and you're squeezing all the stuff out of those organs and glands and the tissues throughout your whole body. And then when you inhale, you relax. And that constant thing is like a dirty sponge in water. You keep squeezing it, and more stuff comes out. Okay? And it gets cleaner. And every time it opens, fresh blood and lymph comes in, and it goes deeper into the tissue. And we're going to get into that more in a second, about activating the lymphatic system. All right? So when we exhale, let's start that over again. We're going to inhale. We're going to exhale through the mouth longer than we inhale. We're going to go right down around the belly button. And we exhale, we're going deep. If this hurts, okay, There's a valve right here. You may need to find that and open it, and it will, if it hurts, that's what's going on. It's lymphatically congested and it needs to be worked out. But be gentle with it, you know, you don't want to hurt yourself. Then we're going to use the heel of our hands. We're going to push across our fingertips, pull back. We're continuing the massage of the organs and glands. 2/3 of our fluid is right here. That's why this is such an important area, to keep that lymph flowing, keep that gut healthy. And then we're going to pat. These little, get around to the kidneys. These little pats are extremely important. All right, we're going to move right on to the groin. I use a knife edge here, fingertips here, knife edge, palms of my hands underneath on my upper thighs. A lot of lymph nodes right here, and this backs up uterine, ovarian, testicular, prostate. I mean, all kinds of things. These acids, we need to keep the lymph moving because the cells are trying to eat, and when they eat, they eliminate. And that's what happens. That's the waste of the body, and the lymphatic system's job is to pick that up and move it out. Your lymph nodes are so powerful, they'll dissolve a cancer cell. They've been doing it for years. It's not a mystery. The body's in trouble. It's building a little trash can that can't not leak out into the body, because it's waiting for you to clean up the lymphatic system, get that flowing, and that boil, that cyst, that pimple, that tumor will disappear once you get the lymph open in that area. And it's extremely important how we do that. Okay, behind the knees, this is your second heart. This is also a pump. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to slap and we're going to rub. I like to take my thumbs and roll them up beside my kneecap, back and forth. Then we do the other leg. And massage that whole area. Now, this is something new that's come to me, and it's a real game changer. You don't even have to get out of bed, and you can go to bed to do this before you go to sleep. And what it does, I've been watching animals, cats and dogs, and when they get up, they go, and every muscle in their body is flexing. Everything, they're even like making noises, right? That's to let the body know it's time to wake up, the brain. And what they're doing is, because they were resting, like we do when we sleep, we're detoxing. And all that waste is stored in the muscle, in the tissue of the body, in the lymph. Well, we want to squeeze those muscles. And when we do, we flex, it's like that sponge, and then when we release, fresh blood and lymph come in. We're taking a nice deep breath, oxygenating the body, because the body, sleeping is a low oxygen event. All right. So when I get up in the morning, first thing I do is put my hands over my head. I make like tiger claws. This is really tense all the way up through into my back, my chest, my stomach, my hips, my thighs, knees, calves of the legs. Curl your toes into the ground. Flex your neck and your face. Nice deep breath, belly breath, and then exhale. Squeeze all that out. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Then bring your hands out to the side. Now I'm standing, so this will be easier, but I have done this in bed. Okay. And we inhale. And when we exhale, we push down and keep the body tight, tight, tight. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And relax. And feel if you can feel the warmth going into your forearms, into your arms, into your back and your body. This is new blood and lymph flowing into this tissue to regenerate and vitalize the energy that is able to move through your body. Areas that are tense, because you're putting that pressure on it, it will relax. And over time, it will go away because fresh blood and lymph are getting in there deeper all the time, softening that tissue. That's all malabsorption is tight tissue. So let's do a few breaths and then I'm going to end it right here. So we're just going to come up to the chest. That's an inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. All right, inhale, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, exhale. One more, inhale, and exhale. So I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see all your smiling faces in the next video. Love you guys. Bye.